Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, Wednesday is going to be busy. I'll run down exactly what you can anticipate. A lot of good stuff on the show today. Tomorrow is a getaway day of sorts. If you have signed up for our golf outing, that is tomorrow. Legends in Franklin. I talked to Carlton a little bit earlier today of Ducks of Noblesville with the basketball goal in the back of the truck, and we are going to have ourselves a shooting contest. A shooting contest with all of you golfers, and I guess I'll have to phrase it this way. I don't really know how to phrase it, but there's an opportunity for you to win some product. Now, you're not gonna, but there's an opportunity. There's a chance for you to win some product coming up tomorrow morning through the midday, and then I got to do an hour of this show and then 2 hours of the Colts pregame huddle coming up tomorrow as we get set for preseason game number 1 with the Colts and the Ravens. But, man, at Legends tomorrow, the golf outing is going to be spectacular. It's funny. Who is it that says this? It's one of these online characters always says it. I think Mike Chappell also regurgitates this occasionally too. Deadline spark action. So tomorrow is the deadline for participation, and I have been overwhelmed with people saying, hey, you know what? I want to go. I want to be a part of it. So it's going to be an absolute blast tomorrow. Cannot wait to see you. If you have signed up, Legends, the Franciscan Health presentation of the Fan Golf Outing tomorrow. I'm assuming we're all going to be there with the exception of James, and James is in Baltimore. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Shout out to Ted Bishop for having, just simply put, an awesome place. Legends is legendary. We'll get Ted on the show coming up tomorrow. I'm sure somebody will get Ted on the show coming up tomorrow. And the jumper is going to be pure. I even take this so seriously that last night the fellas couldn't come up with enough numbers for us to play. Now, I will say this, like 6 is enough for me to play. I can do full court 3-on-3. But I'm the only one, I think, especially in my age bracket right now, that will do that. I'm not playing half court. Half court, you don't work up a sweat. Half court is half-ass to me. But if you're going to go, I think 3-on-3 full court. I was just explaining this to Hammer and Nigel in our daily meeting before the show. I always thought it was good, especially for the younger generation. If you're trying to work on the game of basketball, it is good because you have no help defensively. You either guard or it's your ass. So I dig full court 3-on-3. It wasn't enough, I guess. These guys didn't want to do that last night. So I am saved up and ready to go coming up tomorrow morning. Speaking of guarding your own and not getting it done, so I spend the better part of what? 2 days talking about how much better that the Fever defense has looked, and then they give up 100 last night to the LA Sparks. Anybody stay up and watch that? And another member was tossed onto the floor. A phallic device comes screaming from the stands. Honestly, I know that it's getting a lot of headlines. The headlines are raging. But can you imagine thinking it's cool to throw a fake crank onto a basketball floor? Seriously. How does this person, anywhere they go, not get their ass whipped? Would you do that? How would you treat the person around you that threw that onto the floor. So what is that now, the third time? Who thinks that's cool? I tell you, the person that thinks that cool is, that one dude on the dance floor by himself. That's who thinks that cool. The giggler, the practical joker, the lover of the jerky boys. A nerd, a dork, a tool. That's who thinks that's funny. I mean, really, throwing anything on the floor when a game is going on, there's zero funny about it, and you're just a horse's ass if you do it. But a phallic device? A fake phallic device. I know what you're going to say. Well, they do it in the NHL for a hat trick with the hats, or, with the squid or the octopus or whatever the hell it is. Okay. I think we all know the difference here. So that's my question. How has somebody done this 3 different times and not been the recipient of an ass whipping? How's that not happen? Happened again last night. That was more talked about. I was just kind of thinking about the fact that the Fever gave up 100, and I sat around talking all week long so far about how much better the defense is. And we'll give credit where credit is due. I mean, L.A. was shooting the absolute lights out, but damn. Maybe a stop here or there occasionally. 26, 28, 22, and 24. And the Fever's 5-game win streak, it is snapped as of last night. So maybe now they're going to get back with you, James. Maybe the win streak is snapped, so now the streak of them not getting back with you is going to be snapped. Probably not. But that was last night. I'm sure we'll have a bit of a conversation on that over the course of the afternoon if you guys want to. Listen, I know, and this is the whole phallic device being thrown onto the floor. That's like a national story. I mean, the hot button tool bags nationally really get off on that stuff. They probably dig it. But I don't know where anybody thinks that's cool, and I still don't know how this person, whomever does this, is not the recipient of an ass whipping. Wherever they do this. I mean, what do you think? The people around this person go, oh, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, fake dong. Aha, dong. First of all, what are you doing carrying around a fake dong? Secondly, what are you doing throwing it onto the floor? Nothing funny about that. Hey, I know funny, too. Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip is funny. Richard Pryor Here and Now is funny. Red Fox was funny. Eddie Murphy Delirious. Eddie Murphy Raw. Funny. I even think that that douchey dude that just bought something is funny. What's his name? Matt? What's his name? The comedian, Matt something or other? Who are the funny comedians today? I'm like going back 25, 35 years right here with my recollection. Who's the funny guys? Who was the guy that was just at the field house? Who hosted the ESPYs? He's funny, right?
Oh, Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis, he's a funny guy. So who thinks it's funny to throw a fake dong onto the floor? That's not funny. I'm wondering, if somebody did that around here, man, you guys, there would be a price to pay, right? A penalty? I would think. At the very least, we'd find out who did it. You don't just sneak away into the night. How do you throw something like that onto the floor and then get away? I think that it's going to be very important the next time this happens to make an example of this person, and they have to be the butt of jokes forever. I think it's going to be very important. I would call upon you if it ever happens here. You got to call it out. I mean, I would think you would do that with anything thrown on the floor. We don't need any jackasses near us in the stands, in the stadium, in the arena, hanging out. And if we got to take care of our own business, by God, we take care of our own business. That's what we do. So that was the major storyline last night. Sparks over the Fever, 191. The story moving forward is going to be tomorrow night. Who is ready? I know Seltzer said, I don't even agree. Or I do agree that the Fever D is better, but not a lot. He's not going to tell me I told you so. Jeff Seltzer was on top of it. I knew when I came in today, when the Sparks put up 100, I was probably going to have to eat it. I haven't had to eat very much, though. Not even the mild stuff I haven't had to eat, because they did get to the 7th game of the NBA Finals, and he was a part of it. Now, I do kind of feel like a jackass at times because I defended him, and then he said stupid stuff upon his exit, which, you don't do that, and we're all good with it. But that's a story for another day. So thank you, Jeff, for not saying I told you so. Appreciate it. All right, Colts and the Ravens, that is preseason game number 1 tomorrow night. Anthony Richardson is going to be the starter. We know that to be true. And the microscope will be out. We'll be watching and trying to understand where these quarterbacks are upon playing. Now, it's going to be Daniel Jones as the starter against Green Bay a week from Saturday. But as it stands going into tomorrow night, it is Anthony Richardson. We will talk that up. Brian Wacker from the Baltimore Sun, who has an awesome name, by the way, is going to join us coming up a little bit later on in the show. You booked that guy because of that name, didn't you? I thought about that. John Wacker was going to be what I was going to call myself coming out of college, and I chose against it. I would rethink that today. Kevin Bowen coming up at the bottom of the hour. Former Hoosier Ted Kitchell. I don't know if you're firmly aware of Ted's story, but much like he battled back in the day playing basketball collegiately for one of the better teams we have ever seen, and certainly a national championship Hoosier team back in 1981, he continues to battle today. He's got a golf outing coming up about this time every year. Ted joins us. Ted's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. I cannot wait for that. And I will say this, somebody that has been incredibly outspoken, and maybe now more than ever, has become a voice and something that NFL fans believe in when he talks. Well, he's got a brand new book out, and when you have a brand new book, you know where to go because, A, you know that the host will talk it up, even if, B, on the other hand, the host will not read it. Michael Lombardi has a new book. Michael Lombardi is also the general manager, which sounds weird. I know it's kind of taking a little bit of getting used to. General manager in college of the North Carolina Tar Heels under the direction, the guidance, the leadership of Bill Belichick. And Lombardi's been a long time confident. I should say confidant to make it sound better, of Bill Belichick. Michael Lombardi joins us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour about his book, about the NFL, about Anthony Richardson, and about the overall impact of Jim Irsay. We have not had a conversation with Michael on this show since the passing of Jim Irsay. And we'll talk about that with Michael Lombardi. He joins us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also follow a little afternoon baseball. I'm not suggesting everybody cares, but we shall see. I saw where the Cubs have scratched across a run, 1-0 over the Reds, bottom of 4. 8-1. Andrew Abbott has the ball for the Redlegs today. So far, only 1 hit for the Reds. But the first 2 in this series, thank you very much. There's Ellie. Ellie, why don't you get yourself a knock? Cubs up 1-0. The Reds, the first 2 in this series. Yeah, there's not a lot of meaning here. They still have a lot of work to do to make any noise as far as the wild card is concerned. But it's better than losing, as always. Austin Hayes has the 1 hit for the Reds so far. And the Cubs batting in the bottom of the 4th inning with 1 out and a 1-0 advantage over the Reds in afternoon baseball. from Wrigley Field in Chicago. I know the Indians have an afternoon game as well going on. We got a lot of conversation otherwise, too, around NFL camps. Yeah, a couple of interesting stories going on in the landscape of NFL camps. I saw where Vrabel jumped into a scrum in practice, got bloodied up. That's a story that's coming up a little bit later on. You know, it's funny. It takes a while to get to where we are, but once the preseason is officially underway, it does not take very long to get through it, I don't think. Because there's so much going on this time of year. You have kids going back to school. You're trying to celebrate as much as you can with the remaining days, if not hours, of summer. It is fleeting. I mean, when you think about it, the Indiana State Fair going on right now, as Jake was out there a little bit earlier, I'll be out there coming up on Saturday. So it does kind of quicken the pace to get you through the preseason. And certainly where this Colts team should be expectation-wise. I cannot wait, by the way. Tomorrow, we have 2 hours of the Colts pregame huddle. Me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and Rick Venturi, a lot more on the Colts pregame huddle. Cannot wait for that. Actually, we're going to get Rick. I mentioned this the past couple of days. Rick, a lot more for this show and a lot more for the Colts pregame huddle this season. That's exactly what we need. As we eyeball the starts, week number 1 of the NFL season, and for me to call the Miami Dolphins a must-win, which I think I've kind of already half-assedly done it a little bit, but a little bit more coming up as we get closer and closer. And, man, there is going to be so much going on. We've got our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots coming up once again this season with Brent Halverson. Cannot wait for that. I saw where Brent, somebody had asked me, I think it was Gritty down in Evansville, had asked me, she had heard because we were talking about in September, we're going to be at the Upstairs Pub in Bloomington. That is secured, and I cannot wait. For those of you that are asking regarding our tavern tour stop, I don't know if we have a set-in-stone destination location for the end of this month just yet, but I got to thank you. You, not only the fans of the establishments and listeners of this show, but also the owners have reached out incredibly to say, hey, you know what? If you want someplace to go, this is it. And a lot of places where we have been before, and then, look at that, James, right there. And then, and then a lot of places where we have never been. Like, I don't think we've ever been to Shallows in Greenwood. Shallows was something that a number of people have mentioned. Now, we have been to the Checkered Flag on West Washington a number of times, and we absolutely love it, and they would love to have us back. But a tavern tour stop announcement is forthcoming, and again, I got to thank everybody for giving me your recommendations, whether you're just somebody that loves the place or you're the owner, somebody that works there, a lot of different angles on that, and we're going to come up with a fantastic spot for you. Now, I mentioned this too. Sid's in Noblesville celebrating 80 years of service Thursday through Sunday. And I'm going to send this out on the social media platform X and Facebook a little bit later on. That probably will also impact Instagram as well. I kind of don't do it as fully as I do the others, but Instagram gets a little bit of service from me. But I'll show you the weekend that they have, basically Thursday through Sunday. I'm going to slide in there after I'm at Harrah's Hoosier Park in Anderson coming up on Friday. So I think they're doing some music and then a little karaoke. I'm going to slide by Sid's on Friday on my way home. And then on Sunday, I'm going to be up there from 1 until 3. So 1 until 3 on Sunday at Sid's Fine Foods in Noblesville. And we're going to celebrate 80 years at Sid's. I was talking to Brian a little bit earlier today. Cannot wait for that. And then, by the way, too, I think we're all going by the Foo Bar a little bit later on that afternoon. It's at J-Law's place, the Foo Bar Lounge. The Reds aren't making really good contact right now. See, I kind of hate that you turned that on because I'm going to end up forcing myself not to do play-by-play as it's going on right here. But it's all good. Yeah, this weekend's going to be good. We have the Saturday night show with B105.7's live at the Indiana State Fair with the Indiana Donor Network. We'll be there from 6 until midnight. Trying to turn that into a Dance Party USA or a Club MTV or an American Bandstand or maybe a Soul Train type of thing where we could do a little dance line happening. Hell of a time coming up. And then, as I mentioned, the Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day is later on today. You can get your horse. You can win 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Just make sure that you see at JMV 1070 the message that I sent out and get yourself a horse. And you can go 50-50 in betting and dining from Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. And we can do that for you. And we'll be there for the Dan Patch weekend. That is coming up on Friday. So, did you notice this? It was Gavin Williams of the Guardians that was going for a no-hitter. And it was spoiled with one out in the ninth inning, James, just moments ago. The Guardians 4-1 now over the Mets. Juan Soto goes deep to center. That broke up the no-hit bid of Gavin Williams. And for those of you that may be thinking about this too, it would not have been a perfect game. 3 walks from Williams, but 6 strikeouts in that game. But looks like he is going to be able to clean this up in the ninth. But now 4-1, and Juan Soto broke up the potential no-hitter with a home run with 1 out. Let me make sure I get this accurate here. I believe, the bottom of the ninth inning was that of Soto right there. So they are on the board. Who'd that be out there in the hallway that's waving?
It looked like a tour group that was coming through.
Cool. Well, why don't they bring him in here? There's no better tour guide to this building. I can tell him when you flush the toilet, it sounds like somebody playing the sad trombone.
It does make a crazy noise.
Landon can show him how when you have a show, if you're Tony Ketch, you don't have to be in there for 3 hours, but you can't occupy the studio without being in there. That's pretty cool. Of course, yeah. I love that. They can go over with Hammer and Nigel and see what Hammer and Nigel's doing. I'm your tour guide right here.
There you go.
Why don't nobody ask?
Well, this whole radio thing doesn't work out. You have a second career.
I could be a tour guide. That's James over there. I'm John. We have a lot of tickets to give away. I shall explain. I want to see a lot of you. I guess we would describe this as a Yacht Rock Classic. I know it's kind of weird because Men at Work's a part of it later on tonight, and I don't at all consider Men at Work to be Yacht Rock, but Colin Hay and Men at Work, along with Christopher Cross and Toto, is at Ruoff Music Center coming up later on tonight, and I will be there. I will look for you there. I've never seen Toto. I've never seen Men at Work, weirdly enough, but I have seen Christopher Cross. I went actually to Hendricks County Live over in Plainfield, which is a fantastic venue, to see Christopher Cross not this past June, but the June of 2024. Christopher Cross is an awesome dude. I actually sent out an X message, James, to him a little bit earlier and said, I plan on going. I'm going to be there as long as I don't, quote, get caught between Fishers and Ruoff entry. I know it's crazy, but it's true. And I'm talking about the traffic up near Ruoff Music Center. I don't want to get caught between Fishers and Ruoff entry. It's crazy, but it's true. And Arthur, you guys get that? The Arthur's theme lyrics? Thank you. Quick break. We shall return. On the other side, Kevin Bowen is going to join us. We'll talk about preseason game number 1. A little bit of Pacers. I brought this up yesterday regarding Benedict Mather. I mean, come on, man. And here's the please don't send me stuff about position battles and you having to give up on somebody because they play the same position. For the love of God, just have a collection of the best players and don't jack with that. Please. Leave the nerdery to others. The dorkery of trying to feel, I don't know about this guy playing this position. You've got more than one guy playing this position. I don't think you can have that. No, you can. It's called having a wealth of talent on a basketball team. I don't give a damn where they play as long as they play. And I'm talking at a high level. There's zero way. The season hasn't started, and I already get that. JMV at 1075thefan.com. Please, let's not have that conversation. I don't want to have to explain to you why getting rid of somebody that's really talented because they may play the same position. Who cares? The most talent possible on your team, surely you have learned that by now. If not, lean on me. I'm your resource. Quick break. We shall return. Kevin Bowen, Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun, Ted Kitchell, former Hoosier, Michael Lombardi has a book, and the general manager of Carolina's football program. That and more all coming up on a busy Wednesday. Stay right there. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, where if you're going to Toto, Christopher Cross, and Men at Work tonight, if you're a AAA member, you're getting perks. And this is a busy month at Ruoff to get perks as a AAA member. AAA.com today. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Nick writes this. I'd just like to know how the hell they can't figure out who's throwing the phallic devices onto the floor. There's cameras everywhere. I'm telling you. How do these people not get their ass whipped? Jay says, if I'm at a game of my daughters when they were younger and a dude pulls out a fake crank from his jacket, he's going to leave with it shoved somewhere completely different. Yeah, I don't. How's this? 3 times and nobody gets their ass beat? 3 times. Reds and Cubs all going. Cubs up 1-0 in that third game as the Reds are going for the sweep over the hapless Cubs. That's too bad. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I'm assuming he, the last 2 mornings, had the opportunity to celebrate at the expense of some Illinois guy that runs the board for him. Kevin Bowen joins us now. Have you had a feel-good couple of mornings here recently?
Well, we have. I really could go for the broom, though. I probably ran my mouth, honestly, a bit too much. But we need it. We need it right now. We honestly probably need it.
I mean, listen, we understand the Reds still do kind of suck. I mean, we do get that.
Right.
But I can't hear about it. Like, I bring this up all the time. Good friend of mine, Corey Kenny, is just nonstop with this Cubs greatness. And honestly, they suck right now. When we talk about the Reds, I mean, the Cubs also suck right now.
Yeah, I said to Mark today, like, and every team has these moments through the season, but, boy, if the Reds pull this off today, you go August sweep of the Cubs, oh, boy. That is still panic mode on the north side. So I'd love it for more reasons than one. The Reds need it, and I love to see the Cubs get swept.
And you like to talk junk to your board op in the morning, don't you? I don't mind.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I do the same thing to James over here. If James watched sports, I would talk with him like that. I'm just joking, James. I knew I'd offend James somehow, some way, doing that. All right, so Anthony Richardson tomorrow night, and then a week from Saturday, you're going to get Daniel Jones. I think this all ends up, unless there is just like stratospheric mishaps with Richardson and one being unavailability, this is all going to be a similar result, is it not, with Richardson in week 1 against the Dolphins?
I do think the game is have a little bit of impact on it. So I don't want to totally overlook that. I would say right now, tie goes to Richardson, but, if all of a sudden you get into game action and whatever, the accuracy starts to resort to last year and things start to look shaky, then maybe that door stays open. But as long as the arrow continues to go in the direction of what we've seen, and I guess what we saw yesterday in Baltimore, then I do think it'll be Richardson.
It's Kevin Bowen, the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m. They're going to be at the fan golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. Coming up tomorrow at the Legends Down in Franklin. Can't wait to have that. All of our shows will be down there and be ready to rock for sure. All right, outside of the whole quarterback situation, and we'll get back to that in just a second, what else are you looking forward to tomorrow night with preseason game 1?
Well, I'll probably start off the field, the Justin Wally injury update. When he got hurt yesterday with a knee injury, he's been so good for this team and clearly has earned some trust in this rookie offseason. If that is severe at all, then, your cornerback depth is already being tested, and it could be tested in a major way. So I would start there. On the field, A.D. Mitchell obviously turned some heads. If you could get a little technical with Mitchell tomorrow night, do you get him some moments where he's got to make catches in traffic, with defenders kind of on him? I thought, there were a few times last year, and I don't think he liked the wording of it, but, people question whether he's making business decisions or not. So I think the opportunity to do that in a game where you obviously are going to get hit would be beneficial for him. Just overall, you should win your first units. I don't know how much the defensive starters will play, but, obviously when Richardson is out there with whoever starters are out there, assuming Baltimore plays the same unit, which it sounds like they are going to, you need to be superior than that group. And I'd say defensively, what does linebacker look like? We have yet to see Zaire Franklin in 11-on-11 here this offseason. Obviously, you don't expect him to be playing tomorrow night, but, you start with the LC product and Cam McGrone. I mean, he's right now listed as a starter. Jalen Carlisle's been a little banged up. Joe Bocci, number 48, for those that have been out to Grand Park, those guys could be playing big roles week one. McGrone might be a starter week one. So those are probably some things I'll be watching. And honestly, if I could throw one more in there, I know no one wants to talk about it, but, I think it'd be beneficial since Schrader got a long kick or two in.
Yeah, I'd agree, because you don't know what you're going to be dealing with. It's funny. I kind of look at the whole quarterback situation as maybe it should be the most interesting preseason we've gone through around here in a while. But, Kev, with the fan reaction right now, I don't know if it honestly is, because I don't know if you feel the same. It's almost like the fans are waiting around and saying, all right, once the season starts, prove it to us that you're worthy of our attention. I can't remember the last time. I don't know if it's morale or interest or what was this way going into the start of a football season around here, but that's the way that it feels to me.
Yeah, I've definitely had, various people reach out, whatever, Colts fans, season ticket members, and saying just how lethargic, I guess it feels, however you want to describe it, going into a season. I do think specifically quarterback battle, they would prefer Richardson. I know we did a poll maybe last week on the show, who would you prefer to be the starter? And they went Richardson over Jones, so, pretty overwhelmingly. So, again, that's the preference there. And then I think, once you talk about the season, you're going to have to prove yourself, and right out of the gate, you got two golden opportunities in your own building against two teams that, I expect to kind of be right there in the AFC, picture of a potential wild card team, a potential, playoff team in Miami and Denver. So, you are going to have to earn it. I think that's probably a good way to put it. I don't think all of a sudden you just have droves and droves of people ready to, have that backing. And honestly, if you want to speak specifically to Richardson, his availability, he's got to prove it. And that's, I think, what makes it so difficult about him is, seemingly he's checked a lot of, boxes here in camp. Well, that is all fine and well, but, the hardest one for him to check is probably his availability. And, there's no way to prove that other than obviously stringing games together once it gets real.
Here's Kevin Bowen on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right now, fan morning show tomorrow morning. He and Jeff will be live from Legends Golf Club for our fan golf outing, presented by Franciscan Health, beginning at 7 a.m. So is this a transformation that is being undergone, I guess, right now from A.D. Mitchell, or is it just like a hot streak? I mean, what do you make of the last 4 or 5 days for him in general?
Yeah, he definitely had moments last year in camp. So, there is a little bit of like, okay, is this, you kind of pause it for a second. And that's what I kind of said to you a few minutes ago. Like, I think it's important to do it in game settings. He has no issue getting open. That is his greatest gift, and it's a gift that I think, frankly, all the Colts wideouts are pretty jealous of. They'd love to have that, be a part of their repertoire. But finishing plays, making catches, being in the right spot in the right time when it's real was an issue for him last year. So, again, how does that look in game setting? So, it seemed like week 1 of camp, just really bad drops. Week 2, he has definitely caught the football, and again, I would think made more plays. Really starting last Thursday night, I thought he had a really good night practice for those that were out there, and then that's kind of continued, over the weekend, and then obviously from the sound of it yesterday as well. So, you've done a lot here, but I think midterms, final exam, however you want to define it, kind of awaits for him. And, I think if he continues to show it, then you've got a great problem on your hands of how are you going to, split up this playing time with your pass catchers. Because, a real area where the Colts could be much better in this season, non-quarterback division, non-new defensive coordinator, is with their pass catchers. Josh Downs and Alex Pierce had nice seasons last year, I think, amidst all the quarterback chaos. Well, what about Michael Pittman with a healthier back? What about A.D. Mitchell showing year 2 growth? Well, what about the arrival of Tyler Warren? I mean, those are 3. I know, Pittman played, obviously, but those are 2, 3, new, better, improved pieces that could make you have some depth at that spot that they haven't had in years. So I think that is an area that you could point to of, okay, can this team take a step up there?
Hey, 2 quick things with Kevin Bowen before I let you go. What about Strader to you? How do you think he is going to look? And will he be the guy, or will they be doing even more searching, you think, at some point this season?
Well, he definitely has kicked it, I think, at a fine percentage in camp, but the misses are north of 50, probably 3, maybe 4. And so, that was the Matt Gay thing. And I think anytime you have an inexperienced kicker, you're one bad week away from having, 5 veterans named Cairo Santos and, Nick Folk or whoever else kicking on a Tuesday for you in your own building. So, I don't know if you'll ever kind of rest easy. His 1 year at Notre Dame, I felt like he made some kicks I never thought he would make, like big moments late, I should say big distances, but then he'd also just missed some easy ones. That really hasn't been the case here this offseason, but again, we'll see what happens when it gets real. What else do you ask besides Schrader?
No, that was it. I was going to bring up now our mutual friend. He was your friend, Carlton Mills, and his basketball goal coming up tomorrow.
How cool is that goal?
Oh, my God. I talked to him earlier today, and I could not be more excited. This is going to be the most epic golf outing of all time.
I cannot wait. Weather looks outstanding. And, yes, Carlton is a great, great dude. And, yeah, I'm glad, back when we talked about this, kind of some of my pitches were, hey, let's incorporate what John and Jake love. I mean, you guys are, fine with golf, but you don't love it. Let's get John, shooting some jumpers out there with some listeners. And let's, try and get Jake, to cue up the unbelievable encyclopedia of Indiana trivia he has. So I think it'll be, kind of a different twist on golf outings, hopefully. And I can't wait for tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be out there, like you said, 7 a.m. And the Legends with Ted Bishop and company. So we found earlier start time, 10:30 as well for those that are coming out. And so I like that. You can have kind of a full day after that or an evening if you need to. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
I'm going to do a contest with anybody that wants to go against me. Best out of 3 for a product. Some product from Heaven Hill Distillery. Ooh. How many times do you think I lose to any of these golfers in a best of 3 shooting contest?
Okay, so what are we talking here? We're talking like a little 3-point line distance here, best out of 3?
I would imagine. I don't know if there's going to be anything marked off, but I was thinking maybe around NBA range, something like that.
Okay, I got it. How many golfers we got? I don't know, 100 or so probably. I'm going to say you get outshot 4 times.
4 times? I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say 0 because I don't think there's
– what's our tiebreaker?
We'll just keep, I guess, until somebody makes and misses, right? I haven't really thought about it that much.
Well, we got a 6-group backup on hole A because John and Billy from Martinsville just can't stop, shooting off here.
Cranking loud music, right next to me where I'm going to be with Carlton Mills and his basketball goal. But, yes, I would like to think 0. There's no way that these dudes are going to be, running by after playing golf and going to hit more than I will, standing out there and shooting all day. No way.
Hey, great shooters are great golfers.
Yes.
You're honestly one of the rare anomalies that probably doesn't check both those boxes. So I think there's a Butler team out there. I think I heard maybe Nick Gardner might be making an appearance out there.
Oh, Nick Gardner's playing? I'll whip his ass too. Yes.
Yeah. I think we got some shooters out here. So, yeah, I'm going to set the over-under at 3.5, and it sounds like you are hammering the under.
You think Nick Gardner can beat me in a shooting contest?
Well, I mean, he did play a Butler.
So?
I believe
you
on
act
a
like that's a big
tournament.
deal or something. What? No.
I believe on a Butler tournament team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
either, for that month.
I know. Yeah, bring up the stats and all that. So, I have aged like a fine wine, brother.
Well,
Hey,
that is true.
I can't. James is going crazy right now with his thumb trying to tell me to get off the air, so I better go. But tomorrow, you and Jeff, I know James is going to be not our James here, but your James in the morning is going to be in Baltimore. And you
He will be there.
Yep.
He will be there.
Oh, he's coming with us tomorrow?
Yeah. He's back. He was just staying for the joint practice.
Wow.
Yeah,
What, did he get sent home? They get tired of him? He not show up to something he not show up to something he said he was going to show up to?
He might be one of the ones that outshoots you, right?
Oh, he'll think he wants to. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. All right, my brother, I'll see you out there tomorrow. It's always fantastic to talk with you, and thanks again for hooking me up with Carlton.
You bet. Hurricane Road. I'll see you there tomorrow.
You got that right. It's Kevin Bowen, Fan Morning Show tomorrow, and I apologize, James Boyd is back. And Jeff Rickard and Kevin tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. The Fan Show is going to be live. And then Jake's going to be live with Corey and Company. And then I'm going to be live for an hour and then go into the Colts pregame huddle. But a shooting contest will happen with the basketball goal on site. I'll have both an indoor and an outdoor ball. And loud music. And a blast. Cannot wait to see you all out there. We're going to have some fun on a Thursday at the Legends in Franklin. Hey, if you're going to miss it, you're missing out. If you're going to be there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll see you tomorrow. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Quick break. We'll come back with you next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
with JMV.
Ahoy, Ploy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Modest Mouse, the Flaming Lips on the 11th. I believe that's a week. Well, less than a week now, right? Next Monday, shall we say. Everwise Amphitheater. Tickets available for you right now. The Flaming Lips, Modest Mouse, number 9, 239-1070. Go have at it. Be a great show. Everwise, by the way, is a great spot. Number 9 at 239-1070. I love it because on line 1 it says Dave is the caller, and he has a phallic device story. Dave, go ahead. Share with us, please.
JMV, this is the greatest phylactic device story you've ever heard. My daughter is a senior cheerleader, and my son is a sophomore starting guard, and we're at the biggest rivalry game. There's not a seat in the house. And a student that was a senior in my daughter's class shows up in a full uniform of a Kleenex box, and it says "Blow Me" on the front. And he walks in front of their cheer block with that on. And that was just the start. So then, a few minutes later, in our cheer section, a gigantic phallic device blown up about 4 feet around shows up, and it's bouncing around in the cheer block like a beach ball.
Oh.
And we've got a 300-pound school official who's trying to chase around the device. I've never seen anything funnier in my life.
Is there no documentation, no video of this experience anywhere?
I kind of doubt if there's video, but I could verify it with about 300 people.
Is it a local school?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Local school in Kokomo area.
Shout out to Kokomo for the Kleenex box. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can work in with the Kleenex box and the fake blow-up wiener bouncing around in the stands right there. Dave, that's well done. I need a good, solid phallic device story. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my man.
There you go, Dave. With a fake crank. I cannot say fake crank. I want to say Frank Cake. That's not right. Michael Lombardi's coming up on the other side. I got your calls. Kenny's on hold. I'll get to Kenny coming up next, too. Michael Lombardi has a book. He's the general manager for Bill Belichick at Carolina and stuff like that. Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun covers the Ravens. We'll talk Colts and Ravens for tomorrow night's preseason matchup. And Ted Kitchell, the former Hoosier, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, crank it up, James. I've got folks on hold I'll get to in a second. And Michael Lombardi coming up a little bit later on. This date in 1981, James, her first solo album, Belladonna, contained 4 top 40 U.S. hits, including Leather and Lace, a duet with Don Henley. This is with Tom Petty and Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Stevie Nicks. We could have gone Edge of 17 as well. Belladonna, this date in music history. Ooh, here's one this day, too. ABBA scored its first U.S. top 10 hit when Waterloo went to number 6. Written specifically to be entered into the 1974 Eurovision Song Contest after the group, James, finished third with Ring Ring the previous year in the Swedish pre-selection contest. So I'm assuming this is just kind of like they're The Voice, like the 70s version of The Voice in Europe, maybe? I did not know that, Waterloo, everybody. 1982, James, Pink Floyd's The Wall, starring Bob Geldof, opened in movie theaters in New York. The film was conceived alongside the double album by Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. And one final one here. Appetite for Destruction, GNR, debut album, number 1 in the U.S. after spending 57 weeks on the chart and selling over 5 million copies. This date in 1988. In music history, everybody. All that created because we played Stevie Nicks coming back in right there, which everybody loves. Afternoon baseball, Cubs 3, Reds 0. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2 on and 2 outs for the Cubs. And that's trouble. That's going to get another one across. 4-0 Cubs over the Reds. So it looks like that they are in line to salvage one of the 3 in this start of the week series in Chicago. Reds get the first 2. Cubs on their way, so I'm probably going to hear from Cubs fans now because they won 1. I would imagine. C. Fitch says Kokomo was always representing phallic devices. We're the damn home of the hip hugger. Shout out. Michael Lombardi, Brian Wacker, and Ted Kitchell all still coming up on the show. Tickets to give away, and our golf outing is tomorrow in Franklin at the Legends, presented by Franciscan Health. Can't wait to do it. Meantime, before Michael Lombardi calls in, it's 239-1070, and Kenny is on the show. Hello, Kenny. How are you?
How you doing, Johnny? Hey, I'm pretty fired up about the Colts tomorrow night being the first game. Excited about Tyler Warren. Man, he reminds me of Gronk with better hands. The dude just catches everything, and I'm just glad we got him, dude. I'm pretty excited about the season.
So, to me, I don't get that feeling that you have, Kenny, right now, that you're describing that a lot of Colts fans have right now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, I think he's got the it factor, dude. When you watch the guy play, I guarantee you when he's in live action in a game that really counts, he's going to be making some unbelievable. It won't take long. Everybody will see what I'm seeing.
And it's not even so much just the individual player that you're describing here. It's kind of more of just a feeling that Colts fans aren't all together as into it right now as they normally might be, or they would have been in the past. You don't feel that at all?
No, not really.
All right.
No, I think he's the real deal Holyfield, bro.
Very optimistic and very excited is Kenny right here. That's all good, man.
Yeah. Right on. You have a blessed day, John.
Right back at you, Kenny. Fever a loser last night, if you checked that out. Yeah, unfortunately, you give up 100 points, especially after 2 days of me talking about how much better your defense is. Oops. And then even more unfortunate that somebody decides to lob a fake wiener onto the floor. at the crypto.com arena in L.A. And this is the third time now. At some point, somebody has to see something. And the phallic tosser has to be dealt with. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that somebody hasn't already been offended by that and gotten the phallic tosser into an immediate headlock. How's that not happen? That happened last night once again. This is not a trend that you want to be a part of. I know some snicker and it's funny and I'm making fun of trying to describe what a dildo really is outside of saying that. I just broke new ground in saying that on the air too, didn't I? I know. I think people will get it. Sex toy, I think, is what Tony Katz called it, which is incredibly hilarious when Tony Katz says it. Because I know that's the first time he's ever said it. Hi, I'm Tony Katz, and a sex toy was tossed on to the playing floor. Nah, seriously. I'm shocked that it continues to happen and nobody's been caught. What are we doing? And I'm not just necessarily talking about those that are there to protect. Observe and protect, but I'm just talking about somebody in the stands. Hey, JMV, I watched the Reds the past couple of nights. What do you think was the difference in their wins over the Cubs? Well, one is this. The Cubs haven't been hitting anything. And the Reds got some clutch hitting in both of those games and then kind of piled on a little bit last night. The Reds aren't doing anything offensively this afternoon. Top of the eighth inning, Reds batting, and they are presently down 4-0. And not looking whatsoever like they're able to mount any sort of offense whatsoever. 0, nothing. But they did get to, but I think that was the difference in the first two. They got a little timely pitching too, and they also are facing a team. And let's just face it, the Cubs have been scuffling offensively. JMV, I heard what you said about not many Colts fans being that excited. I think the read is going to be different once the preseason officially gets underway tomorrow. What say you? Yeah, it could be. I would say this. If you watch a quarterback, one or two, that looks really good, even in the preseason by those standards, then that could certainly change up the tone. But that has been obvious, I think, so far. It just does not feel the same because you're thinking other than the change in defensive coordination and the changes in the secondary and drafting of Tyler Warren at tight end, I think these are all things you're excited about. I think you're much less excited about what you foresee the quarterback position being. Thus, either one of these quarterbacks, and especially in this case, Anthony Richardson, will have to show you something before you buy in. I've been around here for a while. I have not had this particular feeling about this team to start the season in a minute. It has been a long period of time since you've been able to do a little something about that. And we'll see if the Colts can. We'll see if that happens. Maybe a little bit of a spark coming up tomorrow night. About that and more. Joining us now, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He has a new book out. We'll talk about that. He is the general manager of Carolina with Bill Belichick, once again, a longtime executive in the NFL and has been on this show a number of times. We love listening to him, love the little Q&A we have going back and forth as Michael Lombardi joins us now. Hey, Michael, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate you helping me with the book.
Man, how about that? This is a hell of an exciting day for you. Where's this rank among those days in football legend for you, doing so much across the landscape of football that you have done with this book being unleashed?
Well, I kind of feel, the book, I wrote it a couple years ago, and I was really happy this past weekend. I think this weekend was my proudest moment for the book when Sterling Sharpe got into the Hall of Fame. Not that I helped him get in, but the reason I wrote the book is really attributed to Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. He had a show basically where he said the person who sits at the middle of a dinner party is called the middler, and that person has to stir conversation amongst everybody. And I think this book was what my goal for this book was, to have a conversation, was to stir some conversation, to help people like Sterling Sharpe get into the Hall of Fame, to help Marty Schottenheimer get into the Hall of Fame, to help people that have done some things that other people don't seem to be aware of.
So Michael Lombardi's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The book is available right now. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Does it surprise you in the vast landscape of the NFL or football in general that it does take somebody like yourself in this case to maybe shake that proverbial tree a little bit to get somebody or something noticed?
I don't think fans understand the process of it, right? Like, these people that want Art Modell to be in the Hall of Fame because of Monday Night Football. You can't be in the Hall of Fame if you fired 3 of the winningest coaches in the history of the game. You just can't. You fired Paul Brown, you fired Bill Belichick, and you fired Marty Schottenheimer. You fire 3 of the winningest coaches, how do you get in the Hall of Fame? And your job's football? I mean, if you want to put him in as a contributor for getting Monday night, that's fine. But at the end of the day, and I think Art's a wonderful man, and he was great to me, but there's so much politics that goes into this whole Hall of Fame. It's so unfair. Marty Schottenheimer's won 200 NFL games in his career, 200. There's only 8 other people, including Marty, that have done that achievement. 8 out of 570 that have been head coaches. If you're one of 9 in that percentage, don't you think you belong in the Hall?
It's Michael Lombardi. The book is called Football Done Right, and appropriately enough, as we embark upon another season here in 2025. And Michael is kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right here. I'm really curious. You have always been, since you've been on with me, well prior to that, and I've had conversations to Bill Polian about you in the past. You're outspoken. You do not waver. You're somebody that when you make a point, you're not worried about anything other than making that particular point. Has that done you about as much good in your realm of football than anything could have? Because people listen, and I mean on all different levels. People listen. They digest what you have to say, but sometimes they don't like what they're hearing. There are very few people that I think have that leverage in football as you've had over the years.
Well, I'm trained to scout, and I was trained to give an opinion. Now, I think it has hurt me because, when you have to rely on your friends to get you back in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when you make somebody mad at you, it's hard to get back in the NFL. It's probably one of the reasons why I wasn't in the NFL. So it's just, but I can't change who I am. I can't change it. I have an opinion. You ask me what you want. That's what you pay me for, and I'm going to give it to you. If you don't like it, it's not, and what do you want me to do? I think one of the people I wrote about in the book, Howard Cosell, used to give his opinion, and people loved it. 50% of the people that called Monday Night Football loved him. 50% hated him, but at least he gave an opinion. Like, look, I'm not a shock jock. I'm not trying to get clicks. I make an opinion on a player. That's what I think. And if you don't agree with it, or a coach, you don't agree with it, that's fine. And so I just think you have to kind of, if you're doing the job, you got to be honest, because it's authentic.
They, and I say they as anybody here, if they have not liked at some point what you have had to say, and that's why I'm kind of making this comparison a bit to Bill Polian right here, because I think he was going through similar things here. I mean, he was the gospel, and then when you become vulnerable, when things aren't really going, in the favor in which they had in the past, those that you piss off or you anger, they have an opportunity to come back and get you. And I think we've seen that on so many levels. That happens often, and not, Michael, just in the NFL.
Well, it's in life. I mean, it's like, what's that saying? If you want to have a long career, don't say anything. If you want to piss people off, say something. I think that's true. I think that's the NFL. I define loyalty this way. To me, there's a difference between loyalty and devotion. Devotion means I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. That's a lot of people in the NFL. Loyalty is you tell people what they need to hear. Now, you decide what you want to be. People say, well, he's disloyal. No, I'm not. I was being loyal. I just wasn't being devoted.
This going to be the season for Anthony Richardson, you think, in year number 3 here in Indy?
Look, one of the things I wrote about, past performance predicts future achievement. I thought Anthony Richardson needed to go back in school for a year, but he ended up being the 4th pick overall in the draft. You can't tell him he should go back for that. But to me, durability is a concern. Throwing the football is a concern naturally. Progression, having a progressive read. All those problems were at Florida. Look, when I watched Anthony Richardson play against Utah, I thought he was going to be the first pick in the draft. I thought he was sensational. The next week, I thought he was probably going to be the last pick in the draft. It's just one of those things where it's just so inconsistent. And, football is an instinctive game at quarterback, and you can't win games without consistency. Bill Parcells didn't want to draft players at quarterback that didn't start 37 games because he wanted to see the guy go through the ups and downs. You got to see what happens after the guy gets hit in the mouth and he's on the ground, and then how they lead the team in the fourth quarter.
So Michael Lombardi joins us. Jim Irsay passed away a couple of months ago. The impact, the legacy that he left with the NFL as an owner, and certainly the impact that he had with you.
Well, I think the impact, all you have to do is walk the streets in Indianapolis. When we came to Indianapolis in 1986, it was a very small town. And him bringing football there and having that dome there, all of a sudden, there's 20 steakhouses and you can walk everywhere, and it's an incredible downtown and it's an incredible city. I think he, what people miss, they get so caught up in who's going to pay for the stadium that they missed the target. I mean, what he did for that city by moving the team there and then developing the team there and having the quarterbacks that he had at the team there, I don't think it can be fair that he shouldn't be recognized for it because it helped. It's like Nick Saban going to Alabama. I mean, people say, well, he made too much money going to Alabama. Well, when he went to school there, out-of-state tuition was $25,000. When he left, it was $60,000. Who's responsible for that? The dean of sociology? I mean, so look, he built a program. People, I mean, I live in New Jersey. I got kids in my neighborhood go to Alabama. When I was growing up, nobody wanted to go to Alabama.
Yeah, it is football. There's no doubt about that. That's where it all starts. Football Done Right is the book here, available where you get books, where you get your reading material. We'll explain a little bit more from Michael as we close up shop right here. You're the general manager with your longtime friend Bill Belichick, somebody that trusts you very much on what you do, what you decide, the whole decision-making process. How is this compared in Carolina, in Chapel Hill, compared to what it has been in the past for you in the NFL, Michael?
It's been pretty much similar to an NFL job. You got to be, look, we try to teach the kids one thing, how to be a pro, right? Amateurs are reactive, professionals are proactive. Amateurs are kind of in, professionals are all in. Amateurs, focus on outcomes, professionals focus on process. Amateurs value doing it once, professionals value doing it constantly. So I think that's our theme. And, if you're going to be a pro and you're going to get paid like they are, then there's expectations. And the expectations is the truth. You're going to tell a player when he's not playing good. You call a guy in his office, say, look, this isn't going to work. We didn't pay you to be a backup. We paid you to be the starting. And, we're going to keep working with you and developing you, but you got to put the effort in too. So it's about making you a professional. For example, you go become a professional athlete. One of the things you got to understand is you got to control who comes in your life. We tell all the players, look, you better change your cell phone number when you become a pro athlete because you're going to have phone calls. People are going to call you up for 4 tickets to the game, except they think their 4 tickets are for free. And so when you tell them I need a cell, so you control who you bring into your life.
So Michael Lombardi with us. Before we describe and close on your latest effort in the book here, too, what's something about Bill Belichick that maybe the rest of the world doesn't know that obviously you would because of this long-time relationship?
Well, he's a great recruiter. He loves teaching. We had a kid who's going to be a 9th grader come to our camp. 9th grader. He's going to start over in the 757 area code in Virginia. And the kid's out there throwing the football and just kind of at our camp. And Bill's walking around. Bill didn't know the kid was going to be a freshman. Bill knew nothing about the kid. He just walked over and started coaching the kid. I mean, that's who he is. He's a coach. He loves teaching people. And he loves players that will respond to coaching. And he's a great recruiter. And once you know him and once you listen to him talk about football, that's just a wealth of knowledge like no one else has.
It is Michael Lombardi. He's in Chapel Hill. He is going to have a bestseller on his hands right here, too. Football Done Right, setting the record straight on the coaches, players, and history of the NFL. That's available where anybody gets normally their books, which has changed over the years. We both understand that, but still, there are ways and means easily to get it right now. And this is something I can tell as we started this conversation you're incredibly proud of.
Yeah, I am. I'm proud of it. My mother would have. I wish she were alive to see it because she never would have thought I wrote 2 books, let alone 1.
Well, we'd love to have you back on in Indy whenever you got the opportunity. I know you got a lot of stuff to hold down. You got a lot of balls in the air, so to speak, with the juggling act going on. But job well done, Mo. We love having you on and love having your opinion here in Indy, Michael.
Thank you.
You got to appreciate that. That's Michael Lombardi on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right there. He's always been really good to the show. Now, his book, Football Done Right, setting the record straight on the coaches, players, and history of the NFL. His thoughts on Anthony Richardson, the passing of Jim Irsay, and more, too. If you missed any of it, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. Golf outing coming up tomorrow. More info on that and what is going to be a busy rest of the week. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson on Friday. I'm going to slide by Sid's as we celebrate 80 years at Sid's this weekend. Actually, they're celebrating in Noblesville Thursday through Sunday. I'll slide by there on Friday on my way home. Then on Saturday, the JMV Takeover on B105.7 is going to be live with the Indiana Donor Network at the Indiana State Fair inside the tap room from 6 until midnight. Laura Steele, DJ Skids will be present and accounted for. My man Dan Pantos will be running things. That's on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Sid's from 1 until 3. Live hits on this here station with Brian, the owner of Sid's, as we celebrate 80 years. And then I believe we are going to have a Fubar Lounge appearance in the old cement pond with J-Law and Company coming up on Sunday, too. Yeah, a busy weekend, to say the least. 239-1070. More on that, more from you at that number, and more on the Colts as they prep for preseason game number 1 tomorrow, too, in Baltimore against the Ravens. We've got you covered right here. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
James over there, I'm John. Thank you to Michael Lombardi for joining us. His book is out. You can check that out. Always a really good conversation we have when he is on the show. And tomorrow's officially the day. And not so much just because of the fan golf outing presented by Franciscan Health at Legends in Franklin, our friend Ted Bishop, but because I guess officially in the preseason especially, it is the start of a new NFL season with a preseason matchup. Now, there are some staples in recent Colts memories that I think everybody would like to forget. 4 consecutive years missing out of the postseason. The last time that drought was longer was 88 to 94. In that time span, only 6 teams have failed to reach the playoffs in each of the last 4 seasons. Jets, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Bears, and the Colts. And the Colts, as you well know, these are all really bad stats, by the way. The Colts have not won the AFC South since 2014. And since they last won the division, 25 NFL teams have won a division title, including, as I'd like to say, everybody else's ass in their own division. So, yeah, should be interesting to begin tomorrow night, and that's a little bit of fuel we'll add, even though it's a preseason game, with our next guest. He covers the Ravens and the NFL for the Baltimore Sun. Brian Wacker's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That's hell of a stat line I just read off to you right there, isn't it, Brian?
It is, and, you know, I'm sure there's the Ravens don't have those problems. Let's just cut right to it. They don't have those postseason issues. Yeah. They have different postseason issues.
All right, so their issues in the their issues, Colts fans would love to have their issues right now.
most teams would, yeah.
So let's go next level. We know the concentration, as I just rattled off to you right there, for the Colts to start the season. What is that concentration or focus in Baltimore?
Yeah, you know, look, I think you look at the Ravens' schedule, and one of the things that's interesting to me is last couple of years, this team has actually started kind of slow. They had, you know, a loss back in 2023 to the Colts at home. Of course, you guys remember that. Gardner Minshew, Zach Moss, both had good games here in Baltimore and pulled the upset there. Last season, it was the Raiders, the lowly Raiders, in week 2 that they fell to. And you look at their schedule this year, and they've got, you know, 5 of their first 6 games are against teams that were in the playoffs last year, and that includes the Bills, Chiefs, Lions, and Rams. So the only real weak spot among that group, or among those first 6 games, is the Cleveland Browns, so which they get at home. So point being, you know, they've had some slow starts, and you know, as we go into this preseason opener, John Harbaugh has made it very clear that Ravens starters are not going to play in Thursday night's game against the Colts. So no Lamar Jackson, no Derrick Henry, you know, no Kyle Hamilton, who also didn't participate in that joint practice, as he appeared to be kind of dealing with a little bit of a groin issue there, nothing serious. But for them, it's going to be, you know, for guys who don't play in the preseason, you know, there's just not a lot of reps against other teams. So that's why those joint practices are kind of valuable to this team, because it's really the closest that those guys, those starters, Lamar and on down, are going to get to a preseason game. And, you know, we've heard a lot about the Ravens defense kind of all off season. They made a bunch of changes. They brought in guys like Jair Alexander, Chidobe Awuzie, Chuck Pagano, of course, former Colts coach, now a secondary coach with the Ravens, former defensive coordinator here in Baltimore as well. So he's familiar with the system, the building, etc. So, the expectation is that this defense, which struggled a lot for the first 10 weeks or so of last season, before kind of righting the ship, was, should be very good. It didn't really look that so much the case yesterday in practice, as I'm sure you guys noted. So we'll find out more. But again, these preseason games, you sort of, at least for the Ravens, it's really guys who are on the roster bubble and rookies. Really an opportunity for them.
He is Brian Wacker, Baltimore Sun, covers the Ravens. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. This just occurred to me, and this is, I'm sure, a subject matter for a different day and really kind of ridiculous, but I'm just kind of curious because I did read your story about Zach Orr going back a couple of weeks and the whole roller coaster ride and what was the end of the season right there. And with Chuck Pagano in the fold, Is there any looking all over the shoulder that could take place there if things don't go consistently right defensively?
I wondered that myself, and talking to people in the building, not the sense I get. I think they're very high on Zach Orr as a young defensive coordinator, sharp mind, very relatable to the players, detail-oriented, knows defenses. And when you look back to last year's team, his first year, and as I noted in that story, it was a literal roller coaster. He spent the offseason at Disney World. But last season, he talked about the Chiefs messing with his head in that opener and not sending out their offensive formations until about 15 seconds to go on the play clock when his communication cuts off. And so things like that and, trusting his assistants, I think, too much the first half of the season, and that started to change, really around week 10. And they made a couple of changes in that regard. They got rid of Chris Horton, secondary coach, who had really struggled, in charge of that secondary, it seems. Things just, the sense that I get was things just weren't being coached the way really that John Harbaugh wanted. Certainly there's a lot of familiarity with bringing in Chuck Pagano. I think at this age, he doesn't have an interest in being that defensive coordinator and being, that guy. And I think they like what Zach has done. And I also think bringing him in the offseason is a big difference. Of course, last year they brought in Dean Pease, another former Ravens defensive coordinator, 5 weeks into the season. And that was interesting to me because that was sort of a sign of, okay, do we sort of trust Zach Orr or not? And, the sense that I got was Orr was the one who finally sort of took command, got comfortable. This is a guy who's only a handful of years removed from playing the sport. And so I think he's related, it's very relatable to the players. But I don't get the sense that there's, job insecurity there. I think he's got more of a handle on it, but of course we'll see, how this plays out here through the preseason and into the regular season.
Hey, Brian, I know you were probably concentrating on the Ravens in the joint gathering from yesterday. We noted Nate Wiggins and what took place there, but did anything jump off the page to you as far as the Colts were concerned that maybe you just kind of noticed in covering the Ravens? Because it's always, I think, interesting to get a different out-of-market angle because you kind of get the same stuff over and over. And granted, I mean, they're covering the same stuff over and over, but a different set of eyeballs from out of market. Anything you noticed about this Colts team and that joint get-together versus the Ravens yesterday that maybe should be talked about or at least stood out to you?
Sure. I think the Colts front did a nice job in some of the team drills. It seemed like, the Ravens offensive line was kind of up and down in their protection of Lamar Jackson during some of the team stuff. There were times where the offensive line looked good, and then there were times where the Colts really, put some pressure on Lamar. And the secondary, I would say at times, also for the Colts, there were a couple of coverage sacks in there from what I noticed. And then on the flip side of it, I as you noted, I focused a lot on the Ravens, in particular their offense yesterday. But from our team on the ground and eyeballs kind of we had all over the place, it seemed like the Colts, did some things on offense that gave the Ravens some fits. And you mentioned Nate Wiggins. He got beat on a play pretty badly from Adonai Mitchell on a deep ball, I believe. And that may have precipitated may have put him on tilt a little bit for, heading toward that brawl that broke out that was kind of instigated by Wiggins as he came onto the field there after a punt drill and, ended up being ejected. I believe it was one of the Colts players as well. But, and you guys would know better than me. And I think Lou Anarumo is a guy who, again, familiar with this team, familiar with Lamar, as a longtime Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator. They had a nice chat yesterday, and Lou's saying he's glad he didn't have to face Lamar twice a year anymore. But, they did an okay job, I thought, defensively.
So Brian Wacker with us. Baltimore Sun covers the Ravens. I mean, really, with the Ravens, it's like different around here. You're just saying, hey, for the first time in forever, make the postseason. Challenge in winning a game of the postseason, win the division for the first time, and even more than forever here. Is it we in a category with this particular group, and especially Lamar Jackson? Is it like Super Bowl or bust type of stuff here?
John Harbaugh, of course, hates that narrative.
I'm sure.
Unsurprisingly, as probably any head coach would. But yes, it absolutely is. Look, this is a team. You look at Lamar, and I've covered this team now for the past 3 seasons, and there's been, for the most part, a steady progression in his development from what I've seen, not just as a passer and a quarterback, but really those, how he plays in the postseason. And look, we can all go back to that Buffalo Bills divisional round game last year. Baltimore turned the ball over 3 times. That included twice by Lamar on a fumble trying to get away from a defender, and an interception where he sort of just was on the wrong page with his receiver who ran the correct route, apparently, Rashad Bateman. But Lamar, kind of threw off his back foot toward the middle of the field, got intercepted. And, I think sometimes in the past he's pressed in those moments, tried to do too much. I think he's, trying to find that balance of still doing enough, but without trying to do too much, if that makes sense. And yeah, look, this roster is as good probably as has ever been the case in the 30-year history of the Baltimore Ravens. And really, when you look around the NFL, one of the top 2 or 3 rosters in the entire league. So you're hard-pressed to find gaps or problems with this roster. And, I noted the preseason how, this is going to be about bubble guys and rookies. Frankly, there's just not a lot of positions up for grabs. The offense returned intact, added DeAndre Hopkins. They lost their left guard, Patrick McCary. But really, they had he was kind of a 6-man role anyhow, although he started for the bulk of last year at left guard. They have Andrew Voorhees, who I think will be okay. If there's a spot you can afford to be weaker in along the offensive line, it's probably guard. The secondary, I think, has improved, as I noted. I think Roquan Smith, inside linebacker, looks slimmer, faster, has been more active. I think even though he was an all-pro last season, I think he'd be the first to tell you that, not his best season. They had some coverage issues, but I don't think, Nate Wiggins is, problems aside yesterday, I think he's a guy who, look, he's not going to be a top 2 or 3 or 5 cornerback in the NFL, but I think he'll certainly be in that next, larger group of guys somewhere in that, 15 range, 10 range. Marlon Humphrey, all pro in the slot last year, very good. They've got Jair Alexander, Awuzie. Those guys can play outside. They can use Marlon in the slot. Kyle Hamilton might be the best safety in football, can play all over the field. Malachi Starks, the first-round pick out of Georgia, really high IQ. He's a rookie. He's probably going to make some mistakes on occasion, but the thing you hear is that he doesn't make the same mistake twice. And, he was all over the field yesterday from what I heard for this Ravens defense. So, you look at it, Kyle Van Noy, aging veteran outside linebacker coming off career sack year. I don't know that he puts up the same numbers, but again, this defense is more about spreading the wealth, I think, in terms of sacks. They don't really have a guy who's going to go out there like a Trey Hendrickson or J.J. Watt or somebody like that that's going to go out there and dominate from that standpoint. But, they've just got a lot of talent, a lot of frontline ability. Depth is probably a little bit of a concern for sure in the secondary, and the offensive line, which is probably true for a lot of teams. But you look at the backfield, Derrick Henry. You look at receivers, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, kind of starting to blossom. I mean, there's just an embarrassment of riches. So,
but you do have to replace a place kicker.
They do.
That's the one thing that stands out to me more than anything else.
Yeah, look, and when that's your biggest problem, you're sitting pretty well.
Yeah.
That said, look, Justin Tucker was, Automatic Tucker was his nickname for a long time here before they parted ways with him over the sexual misconduct allegations, and he subsequently suspended the NFL. So, look, Tyler Loop has looked pretty good so far. I think there's no question about his leg strength. He's got plenty of leg. Sometimes the accuracy hasn't been there at times. The preseason will be a litmus test for him. So far, they like what they see, and they'll get a better sense of that the next few weeks. And you're right, because kicker, that's one of those things in those big games, those close games. If he needs to hit a 50-yarder on the road in Buffalo, can he do it? So we won't really know that until the season gets here, but that's about their biggest question mark, really.
Yep. Brian, thank you very much for the updates, really on both sides of the football with the joint practices and such over there. And enjoy the preseason contest coming up tomorrow night, and hopefully down the road we'll do it again soon. Maybe like a playoff setting. That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, that'd be terrific. Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Brian, thank you. Brian Wacker, the Baltimore Sun, covers the Ravens and the NFL on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Ted Kitchell coming up after the top of the hour. His golf outing and his daughter Mackenzie will join us. We have them on annually to talk up his golf outing and his benefit. We'll do that with the former Hoosier coming up after 5. And more tickets to give away. Do not go anywhere. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, I mentioned I have tickets for you right here. You guys ready for it? Kansas and Jefferson Starship together coming up in October. We've been doing this for the past couple of days. Hopefully you've gotten involved. Get yourself some tickets to this. Number 9 at 239-1070. Classic bands and One Hell of a Time coming up in the month of October. Number 9 is going to go with us. And check it out. Actually, the rest of the week we're going to have tickets for you as well. The Frontline Benefit Show at Everwise Amphitheater downtown. And it will be an awesome event. So make sure you're going to be a part of that too. And you can be a part of it just by being number 9 at 239-1070 right now. That is Friday, October the 10th, I believe, is the date at Everwise Amphitheater downtown at White River State Park, and you should be good to go. Brian Wacker, the Baltimore Sun, good insight as far as the Ravens are concerned. There is an interesting dynamic about a team that wins at such a high level and a high clip, but has yet to cash it in. I know as a Colts fan, you can only dream about that scenario. Michael Lombardi a little bit earlier, his thoughts on the impact of Jim Irsay and his loss a couple of months ago. His thoughts on Anthony Richardson and the quarterback situation here and his new book. Michael Lombardi earlier in the 4 o'clock hour. And Kevin Bowen also a little bit earlier. The podcast with each 1075thefan.com. All right, tomorrow, fan golf outing, Legends in Franklin, presented by Franciscan Health. Remember, I go from 3 until 4, and then 4 until 6. It's the Colts pre-game huddle. Me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and Rick Venturi have it all for you. That's coming up at 4 o'clock tomorrow to get you set for preseason game number 1 with the Colts in Baltimore. But also, if you're going to be a part of the fan golf outing tomorrow, my friend Carlton is bringing a basketball hoop in the back of the truck, and we are shooting for product. We are shooting for product. More details on that in the 5 o'clock hour. Former Hoosier, he could shoot it. Ted Kitchell's going to join us along with his daughter Mackenzie. He has a golf outing coming up. We always talk to Ted about that. Ted Kitchell's Swinging for Parkinson's golf outing is at Valley Vista Golf Club. That is down in Greenwood coming up on Monday the 25th. And Ted and daughter Mackenzie will join us coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
David Letterman! Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, Brian Wacker, the Baltimore Sun, a little bit earlier. Thank you, James. Michael Lombardi has a book. The general manager, that sounds weird still. Bill Belichick's Carolina Tar Heel football program. He has brought longtime friend Michael Lombardi in to run things as the general manager. He joined us. He also has a new book. Podcast 1075thefan.com, and you can check Kevin Bowen as well. Tomorrow, our golf outing is at Legends down in Franklin with Franciscan Health. We start at 7 a.m. with the Fan Morning Show. That's Kevin, and James Boyd will be back, along with Jeff Rickard, Query and Company at noon, and then I'll come along at 3 o'clock and have some fun up until 4, and then we'll do the Colts pregame huddle with me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and Rick Venturi from 4 until 6 to get you set for preseason game number 1 tomorrow night with the Colts and the Ravens. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, this is an annual event that we love talking about. First things first, we'll bring on board, because I pass by her picture all the time when I'm walking through CG to go play in either the West Gym or the Vandy. I see McKenzie Kitchell up on the wall as one of the past Hall of Famers in sports. I believe while playing volleyball at Center Grove. McKenzie joins us first right here. Hello, McKenzie. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you?
I like passing by your photograph up on the wall at CG all the time.
That is too funny. I forget it's there most of the time.
It is still there. And also joining us, former Indiana Hoosier and also a friend of this show. Let's invite in one Ted Kitchell, who is with us, too. Hello, Ted. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, John. How are you?
Outstanding to have you both back on. I should tell you that I went to our table last Friday with Don and Susie Fisher, and we brought your name up again as we normally do and talked up the old days and the good days and still the good days right now. Always a good conversation.
And all the good days ahead, hopefully, right?
There is no question about that. Well, first things first, Ted, I'll start with you and then get to McKenzie in a second. How are you feeling these days?
I'm doing fine. I work out 3 or 4 times a week with I do Rocksteady Boxing. I also have a personal trainer that works me out. So try to stay involved as much as possible, yet I'm looking forward to, after the golf outing sometime in September, I'm going to have this brain stimulation, which will take some of the shaking away that the Parkinson's causes, and that will be a big help to playing golf and doing other things that I enjoy doing.
Well, and we wanted to talk up the golf outing, the Ted Kitchell Swinging for Parkinson's golf outing that's coming up on the 25th at Valley Vista in Greenwood. And McKenzie, I know you have been essential in putting this together for a number of years now, which, you know, obviously with your father in mind is very special to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a really special event from the start. We kind of just started it out of nowhere one year, and we wanted to do something to try to make a change and try to raise a little more awareness. And now we are going on. This year will be the 6th event that we've hosted, and we have gotten so much support from our family and our friends in the community, and we are forever grateful for that. So it's been really great.
Is it one of these situations, McKenzie, where each of the past, you're going on year number 6, each of the past 5 years, you've just seen it grow annually, which has to make it feel even better for you as you put this together?
Yes, it grows every single year, and honestly, when it comes up to the time of the year where we announce the event, all of our friends and family, random people in the community will start asking about it and asking when the email is coming out and the social media posts. So it's really cool to see how excited people get for it as well.
So McKenzie Kitchell with us, Ted Kitchell, father, former IU player, also with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So this is obviously named after you, and you know you're doing something about your situation right now, and you're doing something about for others to help others in this situation too. It just seems like every year we talk, and every year it's kind of the same for you. Your focus is doing something about it and not sitting around and waiting on it, Ted, in this situation?
It's a disease that you need to stay active, and if you sit at home on the couch and hope that it's going to get better, it's probably not headed in the right direction. So I try to get involved. I mean, that's like this golf outing. I remember we were at Thanksgiving at my mom and dad's house, and we said we need to do something, and we as the kids got together. I mean, Kenzie, her two older brothers, Tyler and Scott, and we wanted to do something. We didn't realize, a lot of these golf outings, they have people that run them. This is run just by us and our family and our friends. And, as Kenzie mentioned, it's going into the 6th year, and we've raised over $500,000 towards Parkinson's research and the Indiana School of Medicine. So we feel very fortunate that we've had the opportunity to do so, and we will continue to, put our funds and needs into this best we can.
Ted, too, I mean, all of your life you have worked out for a common goal, and that is to better yourself as a basketball player individually and with your team. And, this is just another level of you working out for the betterment of not only yourself, but as a team, is it not?
There's no question about it. I've said it a lot of times as I get ready to go to Rocksteady Boxing or to go work out, I look at my wife and I say, I've been doing this for 65 years, trying to get ready to prepare for my next outing, the next game. Obviously, I had to work out and had to practice hard because I wasn't that talented as maybe some of the other guys were. But, you're exactly right. I mean, I'm 65 years old and still getting up in the morning going to work out.
So Ted Kitchell right there. McKenzie also joins us. So a mutual friend of ours, Mike Poe, has given me kind of a list, McKenzie, of what you guys are having for auction as well to help raise money. Maybe a little bit about that. Some very fun sports items, some events, some things that you don't necessarily find at your average golf outing.
Yeah, absolutely. So normally we have all IU football and IU basketball games, Colts games. Sometimes we will have John Mellencamp guitar. We have jewelry from J&L Johnson Jewelers.
Yep.
We have
we have a weekend at French Lick.
Yes. There we go. Right there. We all need that weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one that gets fought over every single year. So.
Oh, it's
we have golfing packages just about everywhere in Indiana and some around the state as well.
Now Ted, that goes back. You have quite a long-standing connection with basically anywhere and everywhere anybody's ever teed up a golf ball in the state of Indiana, don't you?
Yeah, I worked for Titleist and FootJoy, the Acushnet company, for 30 years. So I called on. We lived in Cincinnati for 15 of those years, and then we moved back here in Indiana. So between Ohio, northern Ohio, all of Indiana, I've called on somebody at most of these facilities at a lot of these different places.
No, it's Ted Kitchell, McKenzie here as well. It's the annual Ted Kitchell Golf Outing for Parkinson's. That is Monday the 25th at Valley Vista Golf Club in Greenwood. Registration check-in is at 10 and actually goes until 11:40 a.m. A shotgun start is at noon. Dinner silent auction at 5. It is now going into year number 6. It's an outstanding event. McKenzie, did you think that it was going to grow into the type of event that it has over the past 5 now plus years?
Honestly, absolutely not. I thought it would be something small that we kept just really close friends and family-wise, and people have definitely blown our expectations out of the park.
No, it has been great. And Ted, I was talking to Don about a little hoop. Don went to San Juan with the new team and the new head coach down there right now as they're playing. What do you think about the Darren DeVries era that's starting down in Bloomington?
I don't really know much. I've yet to haven't had the opportunity to meet meet him and say hello, but I know that we're very excited about. It seems to be he's kind of more of a teacher maybe, and I think he'll do a lot of the things that we saw a guy that was pretty handy around there for 30 years as a coach. We'll see some things like that, good defense, working the ball around, good offensive patterns and things like that. But I'm excited that we can maybe we need to get involved and get somehow fight for a Big Ten championship. It's people, the young kids today think that they don't realize the era that you came from, I came from.
Yeah.
Indiana we were winning the Big Ten every 3 out of 4 years. We were playing for national championships, and it was a big deal. And it's kind of fallen off, and we need to get back involved in playing for these championships.
Ted, I think about it too, and obviously we all reflect back to Philadelphia in 1981 and that national championship. But I always think about in terms of you and your teammates and growing into that. Right, I think there's something to be said about, the evolution of a team to where you're not ready to win it just yet. Because when I think back of 81, it's not like you had a great, season. It started out sluggish, and then you kind of caught fire. And certainly once you got into March, you really caught fire. It's about evolving and watching yourself as a team grow for the better. That had to be really the most special part, did it not, for you and your teammates then?
Yeah, and you think of Coach Knight's great teams. I mean, obviously the 76 team, but the 75 team was better than the 76 team. If Scotty May hadn't gotten hurt, they would have won. I mean, they were undefeated basically all year. For two straight years, they went 36-0 in the Big Ten. I mean, that's something that you can't – it's hard to put that around your head thinking, 36-0. But, in 1981, I mean, the 1980 team was the best team that I ever played on at IU. I mean, because we had Mike Woodson and Butch Carter, and you had Randy Whitman, and, Whitman broke his ankle, and he had to sit out. Woody ended up having a back surgery, and we still ended up winning the Big Ten, and, we got beat in the regionals. But, I mean, his two best teams were the 75 and the 80 team, and they both ended up getting beat. And yet the next year, like what you're talking about, we evolved. We understood what it took. In 81, it was a slow start. It was 7-5. We got beat in Hawaii, and we made some changes. Landon Turner really started playing the type of basketball that he was capable of playing, and we were able to had a pretty good point guard that in Isaiah Thomas, and we're able to win a Big Ten championship and a national championship.
I think about 81 all the time because of the sluggish way you guys, Ted, began, but then obviously the way that you ended in a championship, and the fact that I attended the regional semifinal and final. That's when it was held on site at Assembly Hall. That still floors me, especially the way that everything worked out. Because early on in that tournament, you guys got Maryland. I think that was Albert King and a Buck Williams team, was it not, in Maryland back then?
Yes, sir.
And those are two talented professionals right there. But then you ended up getting the regionals in your home arena, which we're so far away from. It seems incredible to even think about that now.
Well, yeah, the funny thing you had to say that about, Albert King was an All-American. Buck Williams, I had to guard Buck Williams. He was probably the toughest guy I ever played against. And Isaiah had played with him on the Olympics, and he told me, he said he'll be the toughest, he wasn't dirty, but he just was tough. And we played the game of our lives that night. We won, I think, 99-64. We won by 35 points. So, but yeah, then the following week, it was supposed to have been, Wake Forest was supposed to get in, and Kentucky was supposed to be there, and DePaul was supposed to be there. The only one that got there was us. I mean, Indiana, we ended up playing with UAB, and then we had to play St. Joe in the finals, and we ended up going to the Final Four.
I think was Boston College there too?
Yes,
and
Tom Davis, I think, was coaching them at that point in time before he went to Iowa.
I believe was it Bruce Pearl in the somebody who was it? What coach was in the Boston College mascot outfit? I think
it probably was.
I think there's a story, but I was actually there, and it's really interesting to think about that dynamic back then, Ted, especially now, considering they're not going to add teams to the tournament this year, but I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion that they're going to end up doing that here at some point in the very not so distant future.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that they'll probably do that. They've had such great success with taking it to where they've got it right now, and everybody looks forward to watching the NCAA and the finals and everything. So they've done some really, really good things, and it's a lot different today than back when we were playing for a national championship. Yeah, we were playing at the Spectrum, but it's nothing compared to the TV coverage and the things that they have done today.
Yeah, I had no doubt about that. That's Ted Kitchell, and McKenzie is with us as well, and we're talking up Ted's Swinging for Parkinson's golf outing. McKenzie, that's Monday, August the 25th. We've mentioned everything that is going to be up for the silent auction as well, all these great events that you can be a part of and things, and I want to make sure people understand how they can get involved here, either signing up, McKenzie, for it or maybe even sponsoring and being a part of it. How can they do that?
Yes, thank you so much. So I mentioned a couple of auction items, but there is tons and tons more, from small items all the way up to big weekend trips. And you can check that out on our online auction. You can find that on our website. So the easiest way to get involved, if you want to play, we still have a couple of spots open. It's first come, first serve. If you can't play, but you just want to come to the auction and dinner portion, or if you just want to donate or sponsor a hole, anything like that, the easiest way would be to email me at our Swinging for Parkinson's Gmail account. So that is swingingforparkinsons@gmail.com. And I'll repeat it once again, swingingforparkinsons@gmail.com. And then the second easiest way is just Googling Ted Kitchell Parkinson's disease, and our website will pop up first or second there, and all of our information will be on that.
Gotcha. Swingingforparkinsons@gmail.com. If you
what would a dad do without her? Huh?
Hey, you had all that information on the tip of your tongue right there, Ted.
Thank God for her, because I just never made it through. Her mother, thank God she is a beautiful mother who has raised her correctly.
Well, so. I told when we brought you on board, I told McKenzie that I walk through CG all the time, and there's her picture hanging up on the wall in the Wall of Fame right there.
She was an all-state volleyball player. She was a fabulous volleyball player, but they got her to start high jumping, and they said, yeah, that might be something you try out. So she, as an eighth grader, she started high jumping. She finished third in the state 4 years in a row as one of the best high jumpers in the state. I think that tells you what type of person and what type of an athlete that she really was. She was tremendous.
Yeah, my daughter is a sophomore at Center Grove right now. So they just started back last week, because now you got to start back when you go to school in July, which is incredibly weird.
Exactly.
So crazy.
Oh, man, it is. Hey, Ted, at some point, you got to join us at our table with Don Fisher and I, if you wouldn't mind.
Next time you go, Christy beats on me all the time about going down there and eating anyway.
Yes.
They have fabulous food. It's great atmosphere. It's great. It's always good to see the fish man and see how he's getting along. Can you believe that guy has been doing what he's doing for as long as he's been doing it?
Hey, Ted, man, I told him Friday, I get so pissed because I'm trying to do all this work to look younger, and he just doesn't. He just, walks in the room. I said, man, you got going in reverse here.
Yeah, exactly. He looks he's in great shape. He works out. He plays a lot of golf. but he's nobody's done it any better than that guy.
Well, and that's the other thing too. He sits there right in front of me and just he eats a cheeseburger and fries and all this, and I'm drinking water, and I go, "Come on, man." How's that work right there? But no, seriously, the next time we do it, he's in San Juan right now with IU's basketball team. The next time we do it, I'll call you beforehand, and we can come by and have a good time with Joe and Ginger. I don't know if you guys have been to our table, but, from where we all were down in Burgersville, that is, and I live about 3 miles away from it. It's an awesome place.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we live within a mile. Almost.
Yeah.
What? We live within a mile, and it's. I know people really love it.
It is. So. We'll get you to go sometime. McKenzie, one more time with the golf outing. That's swinging for Parkinson's at gmail.com, correct?
Yes, sir. Swinging for Parkinson's at gmail.com. I would love to give you guys all the information you need, so please reach out to me on that. And, we look forward to seeing everyone. And just thank you again for allowing us to come on every year and share. We are so grateful and appreciative.
You got that, McKenzie. Thank you. And, hey, Ted, man, keep on keeping on, my brother. I know you will. I know I'm not going to have to motivate you. I know you will. But continue to do what you're doing. We'll get people to your golf outing, and we'll get some time with Don at our table very soon.
That would be
okay?
fantastic. We sure appreciate all your help, and Mike Poe, the friend you speak of,
yes.
all of his help. Thank you very much.
You got it, guys. Thank you very much. That is Ted Kitchell. That is McKenzie, and the Ted Kitchell Swinging for Parkinson's golf outing is coming up the 25th of August, and it is an outstanding event. I love talking to Ted and McKenzie, and I know he's going to battle. That's why I tried to frame that up as, you work all your life as a basketball player to get to where you were, collegiately, and what he did collegiately. And, now you're battling another foe in Parkinson's. And I've brought this up before, so I didn't bring it up this time. My grandfather, whom I miss dearly, was also diagnosed with Parkinson's. So I know, what has to be done. Now, there are innovations, and Ted had mentioned he's going to be doing something here in the not-so-distant future. But any battle that we can have versus Parkinson's, I am all in on and all about. And Ted and McKenzie, thank you guys very much. Again, the Ted Kitchell Swinging for Parkinson's golf outing. If you want to get involved, it's swinging for Parkinson's at gmail.com. And McKenzie will set you up right there. Two very awesome people on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Again, that golf outing, the 25th of August at Valley Vista in Greenwood. Quick break, we shall return. We'll tell you about ours. We're with Franciscan Health coming up tomorrow down at Legends in Franklin. Our good friend Ted Bishop. Hopefully Ted has some time to slide over and join me in the 3 o'clock hour. Remember, tomorrow I go from 3 until 4 with this normal show, and then 4 until 6 with the Colts pregame huddle. Because the Colts and the Ravens have preseason game 1 here, you will hear on the Fan. So that will be me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and Rick Venturi from 4 until 6 coming up tomorrow. I am going to get out there early, and we've got a lot of fun that we have conjured up for you tomorrow that if you're already a part of it, you're absolutely going to love. That, and we have a tavern tour stop, James, for the month of August. It is etched in stone. I will tell you where we're going coming up next. And your calls at 239-1070. Final 30 right here on this Wednesday. Don't go anywhere. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What you'll find? Picture me? No! The definition of the word idiot, which you f***ing are.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this sounds like a Mike Wells Friday Slow Jam right here, but it isn't. The reason why I'm playing this gentleman who's never been on this show is on the free stage at the Indiana State Fair, James, later on tonight. Can you guess it?
Are you asking me to guess it?
I'm asking you to guess.
I can.
Oh, it's
I'm
right
cheating
there in front
right
of you,
there.
right?
Yeah.
This is Never Keeping Secrets by the legendary Babyface. Babyface is on the free stage at the Indiana State Fair later on tonight. That should be outstanding. He's never been on this show before, which is a bummer. This is like, turn this up a little bit. This is like my favorite Babyface song right here. I don't know. This has never been a Mike Wells Friday Reentry Slow Jam either, which is weird because it should have been. This is a Babyface original, James.
Do you think Mike Wells would know the lyrics to this one?
He might not. He might not. Have you ever looked over how many songs that Babyface has been a part of as either a performer, a writer, a producer, a co-writer? I mean, it is incredible.
Pretty extensive.
Do you remember the group that he was a part of before he went solo?
I do not know.
The Deal. I think The Deal was out of Dayton, Ohio, maybe? I mean, a ton of stuff. And then, obviously, with LaFace Records, that's L.A. Reid and Babyface together. Look this up one of these days when you have a minute, because it is a never-ending list. Songs written by Babyface with original artists, co-writers, and originating album. And the years of release. It is an absolute ton. And I believe the story is with Bobby Brown, because I thought they were going to fight on stage once. We went to see, and this was at Harrah's Hoosier Park in Anderson, we went to see Belle Biv DeVoe and Bobby Brown perform, right? So basically, New Edition. So Ricky Bell gets up and talks about how Every Little Step was supposed to go to New Edition. And then Bobby Brown kind of acted mad and said, well, it would have been for New Edition, but Babyface wrote it for Bobby Brown. So it was pretty funny. Good stuff. But it is an absolute scroll of greatness. And Babyface on the free stage at the Indiana State Fair coming up later on tonight, which should be an absolute blast. Thanks to McKenzie and Ted Kitchell. Swinging for Parkinson's. We talked about that with Ted and McKenzie a little bit earlier. That's coming up on the 25th of August and should be a blast. Clayton writes this: while listening to Kitchell talk about golf, it's going to take me back to the glory days of watching IU basketball on Channel 4 with he and Laz. Oh, and every free throw made, Union Planners going to donate $50 for every free throw. Outstanding. Hey, JMV, I heard they're going to go see Men at Work, Toto, and Christopher Cross tonight. I saw Men at Work at Market Square Arena back in the day with NXS as an opener, believe it or not. It's kind of weird, Men at Work with Toto and Christopher Cross, but it should be outstanding at Ruoff later on tonight. And if you're a AAA member, you know this to be true, don't you? You know that you're going to get perks, the Premier Lounge, all that and more. I saw BT mention this. BT says that TJ McConnell is going to be in an Indians game signing autographs on the 27th of August. There you go. TJ McConnell, one of my favorites all time, by the way, right there. Yeah, I saw this as the Colts prepare for the Ravens tomorrow night in preseason game number 1. A.D. Mitchell, and we talked about this with Kevin Bowen a little bit earlier, the second-year wide receiver has found a little bit of a groove. Now, Kevin did mention that he had moments a year ago, too, but that was not our lasting memory. But if you remember, early on in camp, it was always described as he was an absolute mess. In the past week plus, it has been very different. The quote, as to the reason why, according to A.D. Mitchell, really my teammates and just leaning on the guys around me. Quentin Nelson got up and said some things in front of the team that really stuck with us. A quote from A.D. Mitchell. And again, you get preseason game number 1. That is coming up tomorrow night, 4 until 6 on the Colts pregame huddle. And you, of course, can catch that right here. Our golf outing is coming up tomorrow, and it's presented by Franciscan Health. And as I mentioned, it's going to be an absolute blast. We are going to have a shooting contest. Carlton Mills is bringing a basketball goal in genius fashion in the back of a truck. Now, it's a smaller, not much bigger than a golf cart type of truck. And he's going to set this up somewhere to where every golfer that passes, if you want to, can have a shoot-off against me. Now, my thought right now is going to be the best of 3 makes, and it's going to be from distance. But if you beat me, there's going to be some product we'll give away, courtesy of Heaven Hill Distillery. I talked to Brett Holverson about this a little bit earlier. Now, granted, you're going to have to beat me, so good luck with that. But that is tomorrow, so you're going to have me and some loud music and a basketball goal in the back of a truck. And what a day it's going to be. Legends in Franklin, hopefully you've signed up to be a part of it. It is going to be outstanding. I know the day is looking great, and that is going to be the start for what is going to be an absolutely awesome weekend. So you got that coming up tomorrow, the fan golf outing at the Legends down in Franklin. And then on Friday, we're going to be at Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. That's in Anderson. Dan Patch coming up. We'll talk that up and more. I am going to be on Friday. I'm going to slide by on my way home Sid's. They're celebrating 80 years of service. Sid's in Noblesville. I'm going to slide by there on Friday on my way home. Saturday, the JMV Takeover presented by the Indiana Donor Network is going to be live at the Indiana State Fair inside the tap room. Me, Laura Steele, DJ Skids, and hopefully all of you. See, Corbin says, how is the JMV Takeover going to work at the Indiana State Fair? Don't they close the place down at 10? I have heard 11. So we'll see. We will see, Corbin. I've heard it's 11, and I've already kind of put that in motion with Dan Pantos just in case. But I promise you this, we are going to squeeze in the most absolute fun for the JMV Takeover as long as we can go. And if that means a little bit of overtime, then that means a little bit of overtime in the tap room. And I want this to be kind of like a pressure release dance party fun. And your requests coming up on the live mic. That's on Saturday with the Indiana Donor Network inside the tap room at the Indiana State Fair. And then on Sunday, 1 until 3, we'll be back at Sid's. Live hits with me and Brian, the owner, in celebrating 80 years. And I also can report, and this is due to all of you, we had a hole in the Tavern Tour Stop schedule in August because of a business that has recently closed. So many of you have suggested we, because of the 80 years in celebration, go to Sid's. So I am at Sid's on Friday. I am at Sid's on Sunday, and then our Tavern Tour Stop at the end of the month is at Sid's in Noblesville with Brent Halverson and Heaven Hill Distillery. Cannot work out any better. More on that coming up, and then we'll get you set for tomorrow, which is going to be an outstanding day. Also, recap today. Reds lose. The Cubs salvage a game in that series at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Reds lose 6-1 to the Cubs earlier today. That and the schedule for the rest of the week, preseason game 1 tomorrow, and a recap of the day coming up. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, let's get you some Thomas Nicholas Band tickets for the Saturday show at the Indiana State Fair. Number 9 at 239-1070 can go see one of the stars of the original American Pie. Thomas Nicholas and his band at the Indiana State Fair. Once again, that is coming up on Saturday, number 9 at 239-1070. We would love to send you there on us to check that out. And then, by the way, you can check me out, too, while you're out there. How about that? That is a pathway to fun. It'll get you out there, and you can check me out, too. Number 9 at 239-1070, the Thomas Nicholas Band. I saw this because I was with Don Fisher on Friday, as I mentioned this to Ted Kitchell a little bit earlier, too. But Don is with IU basketball down in Puerto Rico. And their basketball exhibition opener is at 7:30 coming up later on tonight. So 7:30 later on tonight. Now, nowhere you can watch that or listen to that. You'll just have to get yourself some live updates. Always good for the teams, too, especially one like IU that has a lot of unfamiliarity across the board with their team right now. So we'll watch, I'm sure, for the updates. I think actually a friend of the show, Jeff Rabjohns, is down there right now, too. So that makes a little bit of sense as well. Yeah, should be fun coming up tomorrow. The fan golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. That's at Legends Golf Club in Franklin tomorrow. Hopefully you're already a part of it. You can join us down there tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of stuff for you. Should be fantastic. And I know, too, that you're going to get set for preseason game number 1. The preseason officially underway tomorrow. That is going to be the Colts and the Ravens. That is a 4 o'clock Colts pre-game huddle. Now, there's some stats. I was talking to Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun a little bit earlier. Some stats and a lot of turnaround this team's going to have to make. You know, not only were we talking about the drought since being in the postseason, but what about the drought in, winning a playoff game? 6 straight seasons without a playoff win. And this is the one that stands out more than anything else. The Colts have not won the AFC South since 2014. And here's the sobering stat. Since they last won the division, 25 NFL teams, 25 have won a division title, including every other AFC South team. That's incredible. 25 teams have won a division and every other team in the AFC South. So all these things factor into the start of the season, preseason or not. And no doubt about that. The one thing that stood out was last year, all 8 of their wins in one possession game, 7 of those wins came against teams that were under 500, so that also makes a little bit of sense. But just some of those stats you're going to hear a lot more about as we approach the start of the regular season, but certainly with the preseason in mind. That is coming up tomorrow. At 4 o'clock, it is the Colts pregame huddle with me, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and Rick Venturi. I mentioned, too, you're going to get a lot more of Rick Venturi, not only on this show, but as a part of the Colts pregame huddle. So that should make it incredibly enjoyable for you. A lot more of Rick. And the start of it comes up tomorrow. We talked Fever a little bit earlier, too. A little Major League Baseball mixed in on this particular afternoon with the Reds and the Cubs playing at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs a 6-1 winner over the Reds. The Reds take 2 of 3 from the Cubs in that early week series. I think the Reds and the Pirates coming up next, too. And the Fever, by the way, get Phoenix one more time on the road, and then they're back on Saturday as they take on Chicago here. So 5-game win streak snapped last night at the hands of the L.A. Sparks. All right. Hey, enjoy it tonight. The free stage, Babyface at the Indiana State Fair. I will look for you coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to head out to Ruoff and check out Men at Work, Christopher Cross, and Toto. And if you're a AAA member like me, you're going to get those perks. A little early entry action for you. Some premier lounge festivities. Yeah, not all together, all yacht rock, but a little bit mixed in with Toto and Christopher Cross And then Colin Hay and Men at Work coming up for you later on tonight at Ruoff Music Center. By the way, Cyndi Lauper and her farewell tour is coming up tomorrow night at Ruoff. James, great job out of you. Michael Lombardi joined us a little bit earlier, too. Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun, McKenzie and Ted Kitchell, and Kevin Bowen, podcast 1075thefan.com. We'll see you at Legends in Franklin tomorrow for the golf outing. Have a great night.